Remember me, motherfucker? How's it going?
Alright, so what's up, bro gang? I am back. Yeah, after a very long time of being absent for a very long time, of being really tardy and absent, I am back. Okay, so I don't really like to explain so much about why I'm back. It's just like it's just being lazy. It's just a clear cut forward. Okay, I struggle to get up and I struggle to get on the live. I need a schedule. I really don't got an excuse like that for real. I just need to get back on for real. It's kind of like a motivation situation. But just why am I keep on doing that? Of course it works. Obviously, it's a habit. Let me turn the echo down. Yo, 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 yo. Yo, yeah, yo, yo, yo. So I turn it all the way down because I don't want nobody to question, you know. Anyways, to stop yapping, we out here, I'm out here trying to start off with easy video, okay? I'm trying to start off watching Casual Geographic, why mooses are our greatest threat to national society, right? So that'll do. Let's get to it. Cut the yapping.
Moose are one of those animals. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that you could look at this picture 900 times and a 901st will still put bricks in your pants. Also, fun fact, this picture's probably the reason you even know I exist. One of the first animal videos I ever made was dedicated to how much of a middle finger this was to my peace of mind. What was true back then is still very much true today. At up to 1,700 pounds and 7 feet tall, at the shoulders,
No freaking way. You know what? I'm gonna be extra. You know what? I'm gonna do something that I probably don't like to do myself, is research. No. Yeah. Oh, cuzzo. Yo, they can get tall as a house. They're not playing. They can get tall as 6 feet. They're not lying, bro. Like, tall as 6 feet? That's not remotely 6 feet. That's freaking 6'7". Blood. 4.669. Alright, so it's comparing your average size horse to a moose. Alright. So that's comparison to a human. This is literally taller than a human in general. You're not messing with it. I'm not messing with it. No. Something that big? Bugging.
moose is always going to be one of those animals God forgot to put a size cap on. Moose are part of the Capreolinae deer family. Only problem is this Roy deer is closer in size to an elephant than to a full-grown Bambi. And because you probably think I'm lying, the largest Alaskan moose ever caught was 1,000.
Oh, I forgot. No.
1,808 pounds and 10 feet tall if you count the antlers. But like, why wouldn't you? Moose are broken in many ways, but the most obvious is how...
It's crazy. I just researched that exact same picture. And it was there too. So, I'm caught up to speed.
God big they are.
I think I better start back. I can't back up that fast, can I?
The problem with being built like a truck with
if that thing tackles your car, you're done. Like, your insurance bill is gonna rack up. They don't care, bro. They don't have to care. You're in their territory. Get out. Back up.
antlers is that very few things in nature have the ability or the audacity to ever try to check you. And while moose calves are obviously vulnerable to predators, there just aren't enough things in the world that are bold enough, desperate enough, or stupid enough to want smoke with a full-grown bull moose. And while wolves might hunt them, even a wolf pack will hesitate to test a healthy male moose's ability to turn you into past tense. And as
wolves are soft. Wolves, as much as how taller they are compared to a normal-sized dog, wolves are literally like, well, compared, well, yeah. Oh, I hate explaining. It's like, well, honestly, compared to a freaking like a jaguar or anything else that's like, you know, a bear, they're soft. Okay, they are really not. They're not really him. They're bad. They're nerfed. Damn. Am I saying can your dog outbeat a full-size wolf? Maybe not without a pack. Maybe not, cause literally.
solitary hunters that occasionally get their pushed in by smaller animals like the guanaco, most cougars won't even bother with a full-grown moose. In some places, grizzly bears have been known to murk adult moose, but when the only thing in your area code that has even a chance at humbling you is literally one of the largest predators on the planet, that is a problem. And if you're 10 feet tall, pushing 2,000 pounds, wearing tree branches for a hat, a bear isn't going to try you unless it's its last possible option. Which is why one of the biggest threats to a healthy, full-grown, aggressive bull moose is an even bigger, aggressive bull moose. And that's because in what I can only describe as a dick move from nature, the same antlers that help it get laid are often what gets it laid to rest. Sometimes fighting males will get their antlers locked together, and that's basically a death sentence. Because two moose that are stuck together and can't break free will either starve to death, die of exhaustion, or a lucky bear will find them and take the 2-for-1. Exhibit A, these are two male moose that got locked together and ended up freezing in a lake. And speaking of lakes, moose can swim. Because of course they can. I don't know who told them, a moose somehow figured out there's a good amount of food in lakes, so they'll dive up to 20 feet down to feed on the aquatic plants and vegetation.
Whoa, you had me thinking that thing was drowning. Shoot, you had me thinking that thing was drowning, but no, it could swim. Threw me all the way off.
Vegetation at the lake bottom. It's better swimmers than me. It's really not uncommon to see a moose swimming in an inlet connected to the sea or phelpsing between islands as
it dived deep. I'm sorry, I'm just childish.
They search for food, and at this point, you probably know exactly what direction.
See, that's the point about this generation nowadays. Everybody's afraid to be dumb. Everybody's afraid to be cringe. Like, I miss the old days. Look at me. When you're not afraid to be yourself, you know what I mean? Now you get judged for it.
And this video is about to go in. Because this right here is how this ends up happening. Because the moose is basically defenseless in the water, and because orcas always choose violence, the killer whale is the only known marine predator of the moose. To be fair, Greenland sharks have been found with moose remains in their stomach, but for my mental health, we're going to assume the moose were already dead. But the truly messed up part is the only reason the moose even put themselves in this position is because they were looking for food. It's like finding a shortcut to Stop and Shop and then getting clapped in the car at a red light on the way there. And since orcas don't see humans as a reliable food source, at least once in the history of mankind, some guy lived through this and probably never slept well ever again. So his therapist drives a Bentley. And as basically a walking snowplow, an adult moose can sprint through 6 feet of snow at about 15 miles per hour. Those numbers might not mean much to you, but I can personally guarantee you this video will. Now ask...
No, see chat, what would you do when that thing is sprinting at you and you didn't even know about it? Nah, what would you do? Because that's a truck. Go back.
Video will. Now ask yourself what's scarier, this much to you, but I can plow. An adult moose can sprint through 6 feet of snow at about 15 miles per hour. Those numbers might not mean much to you, but I can personally guarantee you this video will. Now...
Exactly. 16 miles per hour. through snow is something, bro. Cause regular sized human can barely even run through a thick pile of snow. So don't be playing with him. Yet alone he's clawing through it. Nah.
Now ask yourself what's scarier, this moose running through snow or what in the possible it could be running from. And then there's this.
Hacks! They just have hacks. Why you run into shallow water like that, bro? Just casually doing that.
I don't even really know how to describe this. Two options, either the water's shallow or that's Jesus Christ in moose form. The Messiah, if you will. For an animal that's dead-ass big enough and tall enough to have its own Wi-Fi, moose can sprint at top speeds of 35 miles per hour. Usain Bolt at his best maxed out at just under 28 miles, meaning not even he could run from the smoke. Now there's probably two reasons why you've never seen a moose run at top speed. Well, number one, when you're built like a tree with legs, there isn't a whole lot in the world you need to run from. And
Hold up real quick. Hold up. It got me intrigued. Maybe he already told me the top speed and everything. Okay, it says a moose weighs a male 840 to 1,500 lb. Oh, bugging. For the females, a little bit. Okay, so it's 440 to 1,100 lb. Okay. This is including mass and everything. Like muscle mass and everything. So this is like twice as bigger than the average human. Yeah, this is like bigger than the
Number two, anyone that manages to motivate a several 100-pound moose into breaking an Olympic record probably isn't going to be alive to talk about it. In a country with bears, cougars, and Florida, the most dangerous animal of all is a 10-foot...
I'm sorry, I chat too much. But what if he was in that picture and you see him just casually walking by? That right there just gave me a lot of freaking vibes. Just aura. It just gave, you're in my territory. What are you doing here?
Vegan with antlers. But it's not really their fault. Moose are deer, and as a rule, deer are just menaces to society. In America, deer cause about 1 million car accidents a year and about 1 billion...
Deers are freakishly so durable, it's stupid. How do you survive a car crash? I don't understand, but deers, they got a durability of a crackhead, yet alone they don't. It's so tough. I'm not talking because I never got my car got hit by a deer before, but who else got, I want to know who got their car ran by a deer. Let me know so I can see it, I can hear your story, because damn. Deers are the dumber version of mooses or elks. Like, I prefer an elk better, bro. How you this durable but dumb?
$1 million worth of damage to add on top of it. And the moose is by far the worst deer to hit. On a scale from 1 to absolutely your bunkmates would whine if this antler Grim Reaper is ever on the road with you.
Damn.
They say you should never swerve to avoid hitting an animal 95% of the time because you can lose control of your vehicle and end up hitting something way worse. At 5% is reserved for when this is on the road, because if your choices are hitting a moose or swerving, then your next choices are opened or closed cap.
Look at the muscles on that damn thigh, bro. They're not playing.
basket. And because moose are so disrespectfully tall, hitting a moose often means taking out its legs. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. The only problem is moose are so goddamn big that they can often fall through your windshield and then put you on a headline. The worst part is because they're so tall, their eyes don't reflect in your headlights the way they would for a normal-sized deer. That, combined with their blatant disregard for anyone else's life, means in moose country you can easily go from a person faster than you
Goodness! Ooh! Ooh! Ooh, he got tackled. He flew. He's not playing, bro.
In moose country, you can easily go from a person to a pump faster than you can break. According to the internet, if you're about to hit a moose, the best advice...
This man got flung. Okay, hold up. Playback speed.
Can easily go from a person to
Oh my gosh, he got tackled.
faster than you can break.
Damn, bro. I could just see the trajectory of the way he just got tackled. You see? Like, it was... He's cooked, bro.
According to the internet, if you're about to hit a moose, the best advice is to slow down, don't swerve, and pray to whoever you believe in. Just know that if it ever comes down to your car versus a moose, the moose might walk away, but you're not coming out of there without wings and a halo. And of course, moose still need to be on the road to put you on a stretcher, and this is what makes them worse than the cougars and bears of the world. Predators like mountain lions or grizzlies don't normally see humans as happy meals, so most encounters are either territorial because some dude was either unlucky enough or stupid enough to get too close to the cubs. These guys are different. Different as in no river dance all over your back, and they don't really need a reason to do it. As big as they are, they're still a very much valuable prey animal, especially if they're young or sick. And due to the generational trauma of being constantly hunted, moose are naturally wary, which makes them much more likely to attack unprovoked.
Yeah,
juggling multiple client sites,
humans, bro. We basically making sports
supercharge your productivity.
It gets worse when people forget that they only have one chance at life and attempt to waste it by feeding a moose. This often leads not just moose but wild animals in general to associate humans with food, and with association comes expectations. A moose that's constantly been fed by humans is only going to expect food whenever it sees them. In a moose's head, it just makes sense. And failing to meet a moose's expectations is exactly how heaven gains angels. But a moose is at its most volatile when it's in rut. For those of you that don't know what rut is when male animals like camel or deer experience a surge in testosterone, which causes them to become more aggressive and more interested in mating. And for those of you that already know what rut is, I know how you know. And for moose, this surge in testosterone turns them into 10-foot frat boys on spring break, and sometimes they cause just as much damage. Every year in America and Canada, people visit the emergency room because they got too close to a moose, and that moose decided to play hopscotch on their back.
You know better. You know better. You know better to go in there, bro. Yep. Exactly. When you pull up, you're cooked, bro. Dog. Let's go back. Dog.
Got too close to a moose, and that moose
right there. You knew better to just go in yourself, bro. You're less likely to catch the smoke. He's gonna flip it, but you're gonna be alive.
Decided to play hopscotch on their back. Sometimes moose cut out the middleman completely and just pull up to hospitals themselves.
Why y'all laughing like y'all not next? Why y'all laughing like y'all not next? You see, he just did bro dirty right over there. Now he gonna do you worse. Stop playing.
You kind of kicked me a little bit, but
Because moose are such a roadblock on the highway of life, once upon a time the USSR actually tried to domesticate these deer on steroids and then ride the tanklers into battle on a moose cavalry. Results were mixed. Once again, as a prey animal, the moose were naturally terrified of gunfire, and many of them refused to allow themselves to be ridden into battle. Not to mention the moose were much more susceptible to diseases and much harder to feed than horses, so yeah, it was up for that. But there had to have been one kid that joined the military to pay for college only to have his ops pull up on a whole ass moose. If we're being honest here, that story just says more about the Soviet Union than it does about the moose. But back to the moose. They're overgrown all-terrain vehicles with legs, antlers, and audacity, and probably the reason Canadians are so polite. Their landlords are moose and they pay taxes to geese. You'd be humble too. Pretty sure this is the part of the video where I'm supposed to tell y'all to subscribe. Have a nice day. Alright, so moose drop their antlers every year but grow them back in the spring because they use them to flex for females. And at first the antlers grow inside this soft skin with tiny hairs called velvet. But eventually the moose has a surge of testosterone where they basically become 7-foot frat boys on spring break. That's when the velvet sheds and the bones of the antlers harden. The velvet stays on the antlers for about 3 to 4 months until the moose rubs up against trees and bushes to remove them. Which is why they look like they bundied somebody. As much of a hate crime as this looks like, it doesn't hurt the moose at all, and it's a lot like snakes shedding their skin. If anything, it's more like an annoying itch. Also, when a bull moose wants to pull a female, they use cologne just like you and me. Except their version involves digging a pit, peeing into the pit, and then rubbing and splashing a golden pool all over their antlers the R. Kelly way. Clearly they know what they're doing because smelling liquid sunshine causes the female moose to ovulate because nature's just weird like that.
Okay. Alright, so that was a very quick video that I didn't know about. Alright. So we started off with a very light one. I'll be coming back on very soon. Okay, I'm back. So yes, I'll try and stay consistent with a better schedule, and like, share, and subscribe, and follow me on every social media, including my Twitch. Mass subscribe to my Twitch. Come on, please. I'm out of here.
The man them too inconsiderate, 5-star hotel smoking cigarette, mixing codeine up with a Finnegan. She got thick but she wanna